Hi, I am Rachel Morgan, and I am a sales trainer that works with you to help you convert your leads into paying clients. So today I'm so excited. I have someone coming on to talk about branding with us, Prachi Gupta, I hope I said that right. I'm so sorry if I did not, to talk about an area of sales that I'm not as well versed in that I can't wait to share. And so if you don't know who Prachi is, she is a brand and website designer who works with ambitious brands to bring their dream brands to life. She does this by building a strong foundation for the brands by the use of authentic design and strategy that empowers them to embody their highest self and charge higher prices, because we all love that, right? And hello everyone that's jumping on. Hello. Let me know where you're coming in from, and let me know if you have any questions. We want to make sure we answer them while you guys are here. But to continue more about Prachi, she has worked with over 15 brands just this past year. Her background includes a BSc in animation and VFX, and started her business over a year ago, which is really interesting to have for a brand designer. So I know personally that she has even done work for my friend. It is absolutely beautiful, and something I know that Brandy, she's so, oh my gosh, sorry, I'm saying hi to everyone. Hello. Branding is something I know that Prachi is very passionate about. So I'm so excited to welcome her here. We are going to talk about how branding helps you attract your dream clients. So let's get her and see how amazing she is as well. And for everyone, again, who's just joining, let me know, where are you from? What questions do you have? Make sure to share them down below. Hello. Good evening to you.
Good evening. Yeah.
So I'm so excited to have you here and to chat all things branding, an area that I am still learning very much so about when it comes to sales and business. So I know that you'll have so many amazing things to say. Hello, Jason. Hello. And someone from San Diego. I love it. In India. Yep, just like you,
Hi.
Prachi. Yep, India.
Yeah.
Yep. Yes. Good morning, good afternoon, everyone. All right. So Prachi, tell us, so you're from India, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I'm so excited to talk about branding. So in your own words, because you are in branding, what is branding? Branding. Sorry, I can never say this word.
Yeah, I know it's such like a left out topic generally while like building a brand, people focus on like content and this and that, and branding just doesn't come to mind. So for me, branding is, storytelling through design. It is telling your story visually instead of just saying it. Because branding is important because sometimes you keep saying something, but we don't know if the other person gets it, right? So branding is the art of making sure what you're trying to say is exactly what the other person gets,
Right.
you know?
I have to
Yeah.
just put this out here because I think that we often get branding really confused with marketing. What is
Yeah.
the difference? If you could just quickly tell us what the difference is, know what we're going to be talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So this is like an analogy I saw somewhere. It's kind of weird, but it's like asking someone out on a date, but branding is the reason that they say yes. Like marketing is like asking someone out, but branding is the reason that they say yes. So branding is like building the core of your brand, and marketing is like a tactic to help you sell it. Branding is long term and marketing is short term, essentially.
So marketing is kind of like the campaigns that you run in order to attract
Yeah,
a certain thing, whereas branding is like how people resonate with you and your brand story almost. Like I think of like
yeah,
Nike and Adidas and like all the other big brands and their logo and like how
yeah.
how it feels to be a part of that brand. But they might have marketing
Yeah,
campaigns when a new product comes out. Is that kind of what you're trying
yeah,
to say?
because yeah, exactly. Because my perception of Nike and your perception is like kind of the same. So like, how does one brand do that? Because you are in US, I'm in India. That's
Right.
branding, and then marketing is the art of learning how to sell it.
Right. Well, in many ways, yes. I
Yeah,
love that. Yeah. So,
essentially, yeah.
one thing that obviously we want to talk about today is how branding helps with the client experience and sales, right? Because we all want to know how to make more sales. And I know that's a topic that you're so passionate about and how that can help
Yeah.
elevate your image as a brand. So, how does branding relate to client experience and therefore sales?
Yeah, so branding helps you build credibility, it helps you build brand loyalty, and it helps you basically craft the experience of your brand and how it's perceived. So obviously, like the difference between a brand and a local store, anything, is that because a brand is a brand, is that they define themselves, right? So, yeah, I mean, that is what it is.
So it comes down to how someone perceives you. And we all know
Yeah,
how important perception is to client experience and how people feel interacting with you,
yeah,
right? So
yeah, exactly.
so when someone feels positive about interacting with you, therefore the experience is better and they're naturally more likely to buy, is what you're trying to say, right?
Yeah, so like branding is essentially how you want your audience to feel when they use your product or like are in one of your services, like like that. So it's essentially creating the experience and the
Yeah.
feeling of how you want them to feel.
Feelings are so
Because
important right now, aren't they? Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
yeah, that's okay. So like people are emotional beings, right? We buy not exactly what we need, but how we want to feel.
Right.
Um, yeah. So like what is it that I want to feel, and then what is the brand that's communicating that? Because two brands can be selling the same product, but how do you make you feel that's the one that you're gonna go with,
Right. Right.
the
Well,
one that you're attracted to?
experience, right? And the way that
Yeah,
someone feels interacting with you is what differentiates you. It's one of your most powerful
yeah,
differentiators. I mean,
yeah,
like you just said, you could literally sell the same product, but if someone feels better interacting with your brand over,
yeah,
like brand A over brand B, they're more likely to buy it, even if it's the same price,
yeah, yeah, exactly.
right? And
It's
so,
all about the experience.
yeah,
So sorry.
yeah, no, definitely. And coming from a sales training background, right? Like I can tell you a lot of that comes down to how you talk to people and the words that you use and your
Yeah,
messaging and there's sales psych there as well. So I love this perspective of how even branding becomes a part of that and how important,
yeah.
like I think we dismiss that oftentimes. So I'm really curious, like what are a few ways that you feel like branding can really help increase your client experience and the experience and create sales. And Jason, I see your question. We'll get to that in a second. So I would love if you could give us a couple ideas there, Prachi.
Yeah, for sure. So the first thing is to like have a brand story and then communicate it through your design. So like essentially having an authentic brand design which is true to you and how you want your audience to feel instead of what someone else is doing.
Mhm.
And then obviously selling products which are loyal to your customers, which they find worthy of.
Right,
That's one too. And then just creating a very holistic experience for your clients, which where they feel good is also very important.
right. I know that you said for me too, like the image that we put out there and how we make people feel in terms of color
Yeah,
and the words and
yeah.
fonts that we use are even so important, right? And how and like who thinks of that, right? Unless they come to you.
Yeah, yeah, because I feel like when someone is say trying to design the social media post, they keep focusing on the fact like, does this look good? Does it look proper? Does it look nice? But that's actually not what's gonna sell you. It's how you make people feel through your design that's gonna help them buy from you.
Right. It's not just if it's pretty or if it looks nice, like you said. It's
Yeah,
like, does this actually resonate with my target audience? Is it conveying what I hope it's actually conveying? And am I
yeah,
eliciting and getting that response out that I want from people when they interact with me?
yeah,
Right.
yeah,
Jason's question is, do you help branding for private label brands for e-commerce?
yeah. I love working with small businesses and women-led businesses especially. So yeah,
Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so you two might have to connect then. I know she's
yeah,
my friend who's a dog trainer, so and has done an amazing
yeah.
job. So,
It was such a pleasure working with her, by the way.
oh, she probably loves that. So, the
Yeah,
power of networking, right, and connection.
yeah, exactly.
So what I hear is branding is so much more than just a logo, right? It's how you
Yeah,
make people feel when they're interacting with you and what your brand stands for. And I'm sure that comes down to your values, right? As a brand, like,
yeah,
like for me, my value is that professional, approachable, friendly, integrity is really important, right?
yeah,
Authenticity. I know a lot of people say that. And so, am I actually conveying those words through my content, through my colors, through my fonts, the way I talk to people, content I'm creating, right? The experience people have actually working with me. Am I conveying that right? Because
yeah,
I can see branding going through even the worksheets and the trainings that you do for people. Like it touches on so many things, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah. Branding is definitely. I'm sorry, were you saying something?
No, no, please. We want to hear from you. So if
Mhm.
I'm missing something,
Okay. Yeah, so branding is not just about like doing brand design for 2 months and you're done. Branding is an ongoing process which keeps evolving. So even if you're running like a social media ad across Facebook, Instagram, it's still a part of branding. It's still like a brand is how your audience perceives you. And so you have to make sure 24/7 that, you're conveying your message right, you're conveying your story right, and that's automatically gonna attract the right kind of people.
Right, right, absolutely. And
Yeah,
I think another point that you just brought up too, and we have all these social media channels and we have a website, and depending what we do for work, are we consistent with our branding across the platforms? Can someone go to that platform and say, okay, this is the same brand, right? Like, I'm going to go back to Nike, like, that little swoosh, right? Like, it's on
yeah,
everything, right? Like their packaging, it's on their websites, it's in their posts, like, you're going to see every
yeah,
logo. I get that. That's a very easy branding, and obviously
yeah,
cheaper than that. But are we using the same colors, the same tone, the same feelings? Like, is the experience
yeah.
the same?
Yeah, totally. Like using it offline and online both. So if you are a brand that has a physical store, so you need to make sure that your branding is done right within the store, like using the colors, fonts, etc. And also like the sales people, which I know you have an experience with, convey the same values that your brand embodies. So there's not a disconnect over there.
Right. And like I've expressed this as well. So here's another great example. And I would love if you have some amazing examples of companies who are nailing it. But, I worked for a fine jewelry company. Their tagline is they wanted to be the most recognizable brand in the world. And so in order to do that, it comes down to branding and feeling. And is it consistent amongst all their stores? I mean, they sold in thousands of stores across the world, and
Yeah,
so, that comes down to logo and the packaging and the training, and making sure that when everyone walked into a store it had the same vibe going into the store, right? So the image of the
yeah,
store even, right? And so to me that's
yeah,
kind of branding, right?
yeah, it
So
is.
I go online,
Yeah,
it's the same experience as.
yeah.
So I would love to, I know that kind of throws you on the spot here, but I would love to know if there's a couple brands that you feel really exemplify excellent marketing that you could give us an example about.
Yeah, definitely. Let me just think. Well, H&M,
Oh,
because I know that they portray themselves as like affordable brand for like
mm-hmm.
people in their 20s, maybe even 30s, but like it's like even if you walk into the store, all the stores feel the same. Even if I know like India is like a big country, even if you go to a H&M store in North and South, they would still feel the same. So
Right.
I think yeah, and even with like
Yeah.
yeah, Instagram and Facebook. Both are Facebook products, but they feel so different. So it's like
Mm,
their UX, user experience design is like Instagram is for more millennial people, more younger people, and then Facebook is for like more matured or like older audience, which they
right.
get attracted to that more.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think you just made a really good point too. Like branding has to cater to that audience, even if you are one brand.
Yeah,
Like Meta is Instagram and Facebook, right? But they cater to
yeah,
different people. And so making sure the experience
yeah.
in your branding caters to those people as well, right?
Well, yeah, because they could have easily used the same colors on Instagram and Facebook, but they don't. There's a reason for that, because
Right.
branding is all about using it consistently and creating the same experience and feeling for your clients no matter where they are, so that wherever they are, they feel connected to the brand.
Right.
Repetition is what kind of creates that consistency across platforms, even if countries.
Right. And I think of even just like, well, and so I know many of you are service based, right? And so we're talking about a lot of product based businesses and their colors, but even in a service based and an offer, you still want to be recognizable. And
Yeah,
I think of like Victoria's Secret or Starbucks as an excellent example.
yeah,
Green, you see it and you just
yeah,
know that it's Starbucks, right?
yeah,
They don't even have to have a logo. You don't even have to see a store. You don't even have to smell it. You just see that green
yeah.
and you know it's Starbucks,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Because it's the brand is. I know keep repeating the same thing, but it's like even if they're running a social media ad across Instagram, they're creating the same feeling through that ad that connects people. And that's one more thing of branding is that you want to build a community of people who feel the same way about you.
Right. Yeah. And it's
Community building.
resonate with it, right? And so,
Yeah,
even if you're service based, like you can totally have a color that represents you or a
yeah,
feeling across your platforms. Like you can have people be like, okay, that is Prachi's color. I know that this is
yeah,
Prachi that I'm seeing, right? Like that's a powerful thing.
yeah,
People start to recognize you at that level, right?
yeah, for sure. Obviously. branding on Instagram without saying. I mean,
I would, am I back? Sorry about that.
listen, yeah,
My phone
yeah,
popped up a notification. I apologize. So, oh,
that's
okay.
okay. I thought it was me.
So any additions, Prachi, that you would need, let me pop it up here. So any additions you would need to keep in mind when branding for social. So what do you recommend someone do? And I think that's an excellent question about how we can be more present in a modern way today on social media. So what would you need to keep in mind when branding for social?
Well, yeah, so since we're talking about basics, first of all, use a lot of negative space.
Mm,
By a lot, I mean keep like a 50-50 difference between, okay, there's a 50% area which has text in it, and then 50% of it which is empty. That's a very basic way to appear modern. And then use a lot of sans serif fonts. Those are like the simple fonts which don't have, I don't know how to explain it, but just Google sans serif fonts. That's a
what
very easy way to appear sans serif.
can you put that in the comments in case someone doesn't know what that
Yeah,
is too? So sans serif font is what you said?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah,
So make sure that you have lots of white space, right? Like the whole thing isn't just words. Make sure you use a really
yeah.
clean font like a sans serif. Yeah, I love it. Oops. Are you still there? Oh no. Okay. Are you there?
Oh my God. I'm so sorry. I don't know
No.
what. Oh shit.
We
I
both
don't know
had
what's
technical
happening.
difficulties today. I love it.
Yeah.
Right. So Prachi, what
I
else
don't
would
know.
you recommend for branding on social?
Yeah, just like be authentic. Don't try to copy someone else's colors. Choose a set of colors which, play it safe. If you're DIYing your branding, don't go too overboard and just keep using the same fonts and the same colors. Use them the right way and just focus on the feeling instead of what looks pretty, I think.
Right. And I know one thing that I've really learned too is just because you like blue doesn't mean the shade of blue is right either. And
Yeah,
so, making sure that the color that you use, well, first of all, you want to go to someone who's in branding so that they can help you
yeah,
understand how, color psychology and your brand values,
yeah.
right, and how it all relates. But I love that is that you're consistent with your colors, you're consistent with your font, that you leave a lot of white space.
Yeah, and just like don't try to use, again, this is a tip that I gave in a previous live as well. Don't Google a font and says blue will just like calm, serene, whatever. Like don't fall into that trap. Just see if you're using blue and black together, they'll feel different than if you use blue and red together. You
Right,
know, so
right.
like yeah, just keep that in mind.
Right. Yeah. And just because two colors stand out to you, you have to make sure they actually work together too. Right.
Yeah,
Yes. I
yeah.
love that. Okay. So what do you think then? I think this is a great way to segue this too, is what does it mean to brand yourself in today's day and age? Like, I think that, I mean, obviously social media is not a new thing, but the way that we have to meet people now and interact with them is changing, right? And there's a lot of change that will be coming with metaverse and everything, and that will be really interesting to learn more about. But what does it mean today?
Yeah, so branding is like talking one very simple example is like using the same tone of voice within your copy and in your DMs. So
Hmm.
like you're still talking to people. It's not like you're not putting on a superficial way, but just like be authentic. Being authentic is the best way to brand yourself because then you are not trying to be anyone else and then you are unique.
Right. And I feel that it's
Yeah.
just naturally easier when you are just
Yeah.
yourself, right? To show up consistently
Yeah.
across every platform in every way within your brand to your
Yeah.
customers, right? And when you're not trying to be something that you're not.
Yeah. And also like being consistent across your website. First of all, it's very important to have a website and then using the same brand identity over on your website as well on
Mhm.
your social media and then even offline as well because I know like some service providers send their clients welcome packs or something like that. So it's very important to create a holistically branded experience for your clients.
Right. You want someone to have the same experience and feelings on
Yeah,
social that they do on your website. That you want them on your website being like, this is Prachi, right? Like I feel
yeah,
it. Right.
yeah. Like you can just see it. You don't even have to recognize the colors. Your brain just automatically like it's branding is more of a subconscious thing than a
Mm,
conscious thing. So like if someone is on your website, you don't want them to try to have to think too much, find a thing to they shouldn't have to try too hard. This is what I'm trying to say. It should be really really simple
right.
and easy.
Right. And I know, like, even you've told me too, the
Mhm.
images that we
Yeah,
use and how they elicit responses there as well. Like,
yeah,
are you on it? How do you want someone to feel when they're looking at your page, right?
yeah,
Our images that we use actually convey that.
yeah. Because images again help portray how people feel, and you want them to feel good. I mean, I'm not saying how you want your people to feel, but if you want your people to feel good, then yeah, portray that instead of the opposite.
Right. And I think that's also a really good point to make about social media too, since we've been talking about that. Even the images that we are using in our content, is it actually
Yeah,
conveying what we want, right? Yeah.
yeah,
Branding is subconscious. So very true. It is, right? Yes.
yeah. Branding, and also like I know I've seen this in the sales coaching space that people focus too much on like selling that pain point, or like it's like too hard. Like don't do that. Don't make someone feel too bad about themselves that they wouldn't want to work with you. Make them feel good so that they would want to come and work with you. Like
Right.
that's what
Right.
I believe in. Yeah.
Right. We want people to be excited to work with us, to feel empowered,
Yeah.
not down, right? So,
Yeah.
okay,
Exactly.
we have another question for you.
Yeah.
So, how was your journey of learning about branding and your experience working as a branding professional?
I love branding. I did go to school for design, but branding is not something that I learned in school. It's something that I've had to learn on my own, and something that I absolutely love because it's a skill that I didn't know I have. I eventually found out like, oh, I'm good at this, and working with clients has like such a good experience because you're able to connect people to their why through the
Mm-hmm.
process of branding.
Right.
So that's good because then they're able to reconnect with that purpose, because if they are a product based or even a service business, they like spend so much time perfecting their product, and then in the end seeing them come back to the why is like such a fulfilling feeling, at least for me.
Right. Right. So, branding is
Yeah,
kind of a piece of the puzzle,
yeah,
right? That helps you
yeah,
feel like a brand in many ways,
yeah,
right? You know, it's not just a service that you offer, you're not just a freelancer, but you're a brand. I think that's probably why it's called
yeah,
branding, right?
yeah. A lot of people feel that yeah, it's like being legit, being a brand,
Mm-hmm.
having like authority, power. Like branding is obviously visual, but it's so much more than that. It's like building credibility for your business.
Right, right. It's like a social proof in a way.
Yeah,
I love
yeah,
that. Yeah. So, okay. So, how then, through our branding? So, last question, because I know I could ask you so many things and pick your brain.
that's
And if
okay.
there's anybody else has any questions, please drop them. We want to make sure that you get your questions answered while you guys are here. And and for those that are just hopping on as well, we are talking about how branding helps with how branding elevates your client experience and thus creates more sales and attracts more clients to your
Yeah,
business. So if you have any questions about branding and how to do that, now is the time to ask, of course. So, but
yeah,
how can you start building loyalty for your brand through branding? I feel like I'm saying brand so much.
yeah. So yeah, just like being authentic, connect with your why, and then ask yourself like, how do you want your clients to feel, and then go from there. Then choose your colors, then choose your fonts, and then choose the design
Right.
aspect of it.
So simple.
Yeah,
If you make it sound so easy. I know
yeah,
it's much more of a process. There's a lot of thought that goes into there in color
yeah,
psychology and font psychology. I don't know if that's a word, but
yeah.
I'm calling it that.
Yeah. It's
Uh,
something unsaid that's
right.
just there. It's not a word, but yeah.
Right. Well, Prachi, is there anything else that we missed out that you feel is really important to branding that you want all of us to take away from this, to learn a hot tip, anything that we missed?
Yeah, well, I think there's a common myth that you have to be a successful business to then invest in branding.
Mm.
But the thing is, I'm not saying that this is not advice for everyone, but for people who resonate with this, if you invest in branding when you're just starting out, you already have a leg up. Like
Mm.
you already know who you are, so you'll be able to sell better products and more sooner than someone who doesn't know who they are and just try to struggle and find that out the same time frame.
Right. So don't wait to do branding so that you feel more like
Yeah.
a brand, right? So at what point do you feel people should invest in branding? if they've been thinking about it.
Well, yeah, whenever you're sure of the product that you're selling, product or service that you're selling, then is the right time, and obviously you should know how to run a business before you invest in branding, because then that just makes sense, right?
Right,
Because
right,
like selling a product and running a business are very two different things. And when you're sure of yourself and the product that you're selling,
right,
and then you can invest in branding. Yeah.
right. So if you have something to sell, you should be thinking about branding, in other words.
Yeah.
Right. And I think,
Yeah.
even when you're selling the product, maybe you're in service based, maybe you're selling a course, right? You want that
Yeah.
course imagery to look the same across all your platforms, right? You want to use the same
Yeah.
color, same fonts, the same feelings, right? So that it's very recognizable that it's part of you.
Yeah. It
So,
yeah, just like builds credibility and it builds momentum in your business. It's not just about having branding, it's about using it correctly as well.
right. Well, obviously, it's so much more than that too, but that's
Yeah.
something to think about. So, okay, we have another question for you. So, if someone wants to learn branding, any recommendations of a course or a book or even a YouTube channel?
Okay, so okay. So for YouTube, I really love watching Abby design.
App
But
design.
then yeah, branding is like it's a process. Like it's not something that you can learn. I mean, obviously you can learn how others do it, but then you have to develop a process of your own for your branding. So just learn what other designers do. Instagram is a great way to learn. Because a lot of designers put out education content and then obviously invest in books. But when you feel like you know what branding is, then is when you should invest in a course, not just in the beginning, because that's just not going to serve you. And Skillshare is a great place to learn
Right.
about branding.
Okay. Yeah, I love that. Will you put that in the comments too so anyone can see exactly how it's spelled and can look it up as
Yeah.
well? Thank you. And I think it's important to remember, like, it's not like it's just a course to learn about branding. Like, a lot of people get a certification or have a degree in it as well. And so, it's very comprehensive. There's a lot to learn about it. And of course, there are things that you can do to learn a little thing here and there and about color psychology. And I keep going to color psychology. I think it's because of my background in fashion. I have a background in fashion merchandising. So we learn about color psychology, right, a little bit. And so um, maybe that just resonates with me. But obviously, like, it's a degree just like anything else. Like, marketing is a degree. So there's a lot to learn. And so, it's good to get these recommendations from you to expose yourselves a little bit more.
Yeah, well, the way that I learned was that I started out by learning design, because obviously I did a 3 years degree in college. So we learned about animation, we learned how movies were made, we learned how animation
Mhm.
used to be done like years ago when it was invented. So it's kind of that's the way. First learn design and then learn branding. There's this one thing that I really want to share with you. So back when animation was invented, so it's like we used to keep sheets over one another, like translucent sheets, and then they used to keep camera on top. They didn't have machinery back then, so those became the layers. So in Photoshop, there are layers on which we work on. It's like
Right.
we have a stack of sheets, and then there's one after the another other. So that's how like the concept of layers came into being. That's just a silly little anecdote to you.
How cool that you just combined animations with branding. Like, I never would have guessed. Like, that's such a fun
Yeah,
fact and how that started. I never would have known.
yeah, yeah. Because like essence of it all is just design. So it all comes back to that. Then there's design, and then there's branding. Branding is a part of design. So
Hmm. Right, right. Yeah, but I love that because what a unique background that you have. A lot of people don't have your background and are doing that. That makes you so unique, right? I love
yeah,
it.
I do.
Animation,
Yeah.
I love it. Well, Prachi, gosh, is there anything else that we are missing about branding that we just have to know?
Um, Not that I can think of right now, but if there are any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Well, we'll give everyone a moment to answer or ask their last couple questions here. But if anyone is interested in learning more about you or working with you and is like, oh my gosh, I need Prachi's knowledge, like I'm ready to, um, increase my branding and my social presence, or maybe, gosh, I could really use some help on my website or something like that. Like, how can people work with you?
Yeah, so just DM me. It's very, very simple. Or just like book a call with the link in my bio and you can get in touch with me. And yeah, I love working with female-led businesses, whether you're product-based or service-based. And if you want luxurious, good-looking, stunning design, then yeah, I'm your person.
I love it. Yeah. And like I said, I will attest, like she has worked with my friend and has done an amazing job. Like I know it's about to come out too. I
Thank
haven't
you.
totally seen it yet, but from what I have
Yeah,
seen, like I'm blown away by the work that you've done. And I know that you work really hard and you're very genuine and you love to listen. And I think that's a really important skill
yeah,
to have. And you
yeah.
really brought this to life in a way that I know that she appreciates and that her um, audience will also appreciate. So I love it.
Thank you. Thank you.
So. Oh, so hey Rachel, words will fall short too. Thank you for coming live with people. I got to know about so many talented people, even from my own country. Oh, I love it. Yes. Definitely
Yeah,
Prachi is one to know. And you are always so friendly and open in your DMs. So I know that if anyone ever has questions, they can reach out to you.
yeah, for sure. I love talking to people. And yeah, as you said, listening is a very important skill, especially for brand designers, because
Mhm.
sometimes people, when we ask questions to our clients, they say something, but they don't really mean it. There's something behind that we really need to know in order to create authentic branding for their business. I think listening is definitely a good skill to have.
It is. It is a skill. Absolutely. Oh,
Yeah.
you are so welcome. Someone said, thanks, both of you. Yes, we are so welcome. Thank you for being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
I think just to kind
really.
of summarize again, everything that you said is, be yourself, be authentic, right? Make sure that
Yeah,
you understand how people feel when they interact with your brand. I think we forget about
yeah,
that. Like, really how it feels to be a part of your brand and what that
yeah,
means, like, and how important we all know client experience is very important, right? But how
yeah,
important experiences to the sales process, right? And how that encourages them to want to buy from you or follow you or rave about you. And are we consistent amongst our social platforms and in person and on our website and all of our other products that we create, right?
yeah, totally.
Right. So, well, thank you, Prachi, so much for being here. We so appreciate you. I learned a few
Thank
things
you.
today. I'm ready to go look at my branding again. So, please
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
oh my gosh,
It is
of
such
course.
a pleasure.
Well, thank you
And you're
so
such a
much.
great friend too.
Oh,
Bye.
bye. Thank you, everyone.